How have you cheated death? First time I cheated death, born with umbilical cord strangling me. I died when they cut the cord, and immediately went to NICU. My heart stopped again while in NICU. Putting okay, I'm on my third life in my story, and I tell people. Second time because of story 1. I am epileptic. Just after college, my medication stopped being as effective body changes. I had stopped growing, so I had 3 different seizures in a month's time. The first one I blacked out behind the wheel. When 45 miles per hour up a hill into a light pole. Paramedics police said the engine block was supposed to be in my trunk at that speed. Not as dramatic and only speculative, but I've lost 12 kilograms in 4 months. My brother had a heart attack, and myself and my 5 other siblings all had to have checkups. 3 of those plus the one who had the heart attack were prescribed statins, and I narrowly avoided this. November 6th last year I had what felt like chest cramps and thought I was having a heart attack. So after a checkup I decided enough was enough. I started walking more and eating less that day and have not stopped. I now weigh less than I have in over 10 years, and I am not going to stop until I am in a healthy weight range. Went into a coma from pneumonia that turned my blood septic and woke up 2 days later. The doctors didn't think I would wake up. I was hung with a rope and ripped my ear off to get out. When they execute you, they use a hangman's noose for a reason. Put in a CD at a stoplight, and the stereo kept spitting it back out. In my focus to get it to work, I didn't see the light turn green. Just as the guy behind me honked, a car ran the red light at full speed and hit the cars that went beside me when the light turned green. The guy behind me didn't move, even when the traffic cleared. I don't remember it, but I was told about this, and all evidences support this as a fact. So this was during a really dark period of my life. When I was half a person, I was stuck with a lot of losers in what felt like a big ship. There were so many of us that even this big ship felt overloaded. But then there was an explosion and all of us had to swim. We had to swim in a dark tunnel for hours. Many didn't make it. At the end of the tunnel there was a life raft of sorts. Everyone ran towards it, but only I got on it and escaped while the rest of them died. That raft completed me. Regardless of what you say, I choose to believe it like this. On the day of the Burnley Tunnel incident, I didn't want to go to school. I was around 14 at the time and refused to go. I hated school and still do. So in punishment I went with my dad to work. He's trucky. I didn't mind. Got to chill. Since I was underage, I wasn't allowed on the wharfs, which slowed my dad down significantly. And when the accident happened, it caused a lot of traffic, which caused us to be diverted a different route. I like to believe that my presence saved my dad's life on that day. In the late 1960s, was riding my 500cc cycle in a local road race. Was 17 and bulletproof. Nah. Slowed as best able. Dumped and slid. Flipped over a block wall about a meter high across the lawn and stopped upside down again a house. Right shoulder was destroyed and total AC separation. Went into shock and had some time in hospital, but might have been much worse. Had a couple more bad ones before realizing that bike hated me. I uncowlingly had a UTI. Never really had one before. And I was always told the symptoms were things like dark urine, pissing blood, being itchy. I had none of them. I was trying to tough guy it out, but I had pain in my stomach for at least 5 days, and I decided to go to urgent care because I couldn't eat or walk anymore. They thought my appendix had fucking blown, so they sent me to the but it was a UTI app 24 hours away from going septic and infecting other organs. I felt pretty fucking stupid, but at the same time I had no symptoms other than pain. Shit's scary. I was riding a bicycle with my girlfriend and we passed by a building that was under construction. The workers were moving a huge metal plate with a crane. Somehow the metal plate crossed the part of the street where we were cycling. I don't know why, but when we passed under the slab, and I felt that something nasty was coming, as if the slab had started to come down somehow. 2 seconds after we passed the board I heard a loud noise. The plate had fallen from the crane. No one was hurt. If that thing had fallen on us, we would be turned into a piece of paper. Well, this happened 2 days ago. My son, and I are driving a truck going 85 kilometers. In front of me 40-ish feet ahead is a tow truck towing another truck like mine Dodge Ram. All of a sudden, the tunnel bed rips off and flied about 50 feet in the air, crashing down 5-10 feet in front of us. It's a hard plastic cover, not a mesh cover. I slam the brakes, pull into oncoming traffic. The oncoming traffic goes for the ditch, and I ended up catching up to him, blasting the horn lights. Anywho, lately, that's as close as I've come. Stupidly, we were doing whippets as my friend drove his car at 16. I was passed out at the time. Going about 80. He passed out at the wheel, swerved into a ditch. He went up the ditch, catapulted up about 40-50 feet, crashed through a power line pole nose first, came down on the nose of the car. He got away with a bump on the head. Other friend got seatbelt burn. I ended up with a broken C2 and shattered femur. Woke up on the stretcher. Paramedics told me I had stopped breathing on my own for about 3 minutes. Was supposed to be the passenger in my mom's little car when it was T-boned, that side flattened. Ran directly off a cliff in the night in a snowstorm. Flipped in the air while falling and land 25 feet below in deep soft snow, face up, head point down slope. Not knowing what happened. The forgotten timer set on my phone for a COVID test went off in my pocket as I was about to make a turn. The sound so startled me that I slammed on the brakes, just as a large truck ran the light and cut through my lane where it would have hit me head on. I remember my girlfriend had recently converted to Christianity, and I thought it was so strange. I put my leftover burrito in the microwave and sat on the counter, pondering if God existed. I literally said out loud, "My life sucks. If God is real, you better show me soon." When I took my food out of the microwave, I opened up the brown paper bag to find that I forgot to take the 2 layers of aluminum foil off of the burrito. All I know is that aluminum foil and microwaves don't mix, and I never questioned God again after that. Congenital heart defect WPW, completely unknown until 35 years old. I was playing board games with a small group, vision narrowed until I came to looking up at EMTs. They had taken turns doing CPR for 14 minutes until medical arrived and shot me 3x to bring me back. 1 surgery and defib install later, and everything is pretty much normal with a cheap med. Had I been driving or at home alone, that would have been it. Those for guys don't pay for beers ever when we go out. Edit grammar, and now spelling. Driving my truck on a back road, and when the road turned left, I went straight. At 45 miles per hour, I drove over a culvert which flipped the back of my truck straight up and my front end straight down. Hit a tree like that, collapsing my entire cab flat, except a perfectly shaped cocoon around me. Knocked me out for a while, but woke up and climbed out of the wreck with only a small scratch on my wrist. There was a cooler in the bed of my truck, and it got thrown 150 yards into the pasture. I absolutely should have died in that wreck. I want to answer this, but I don't know which time to share about in detail. If I were a cat, I think I would have no lives left. Crazed once, oneness fire, one I talked my way out of. Rolled my own car, went through 2 windshields as a passenger, same car accident, and been backed over by a flatbed truck once, also accidental. I've had well over 100 stitches on my head alone, and have still never broken a bone or had any internal injuries. I was born with a twisted gut and couldn't eat or drink. Had my last prayers and all that. They kept saying it was fine. So my nana made my parents take me to a different doctor and told straight away he coped it nearly. Anyways, operation and a long recovery. Grand now. Few gut issues, sure I'm here so. Born in a different time, and I'd not lived long at all. I was also stabbed a few mil deeper, and it would have punctured a lung. 2 in the arm, missed anything vital. Don't think they count though. I fell on a metal cookie cutter when I was a apex. 10 years old. My mother is a hoarder and had a bunch of freebies strewn about all over the house. My sibling had a ball. I was trying to steal it and I managed, but I also fell backwards, and while I was trying to catch myself with my hands behind me, I crushed the cookie cutter with my hand. It cut me deep and I started spraying blood everywhere, so I clutched my hand and ran to my grandma, who put pressure until my mom and aunt took me to the ER. I was on a mountain trail in South Dakota. I'm not sure if we took a wrong turn or the trail just ended, but along a mountainside the rope just ended, and the next bit was very sloped and covered in fine gravel. 12-year-old me clambered across, but barely, and my parents asked me to come back. Only later did I realize that the drop was many tens of feet, and a slip was very likely. This is not a climactic or crazy story, but the slow, creeping reality of death haunts me whenever I think of it. I had a screening for something else, and my doctor found very early stage cancer at age 34. It was removed painlessly and completely in an afternoon. It's a cancer that usually affects people over 60 and doesn't have symptoms until it's too late. If I didn't have this other screening, I likely would have died a painful death from it in 10-ish years. When the doctor first called to give me the results, he said it was divine intervention, and never gave me the results of the test I came in for. My mum always wanted to save space so she could buy more things. How was a really good idea at a 3-year-old kid's bedroom, and I just wanted to grab my doll's clothes that were in the top drawer at the top dresser. So me being a dumb reckless kid tried to climb both. The top dresser fell on me and almost crushed me, but a small but resistant stool left a small space between the dresser and the floor where my mother found me minutes later.